Okay, Logan, look, mate, you're developing well. That is for sure. We've got a new attribute point that we can attribute to you. So, well, where would you like to be better? With the ladies. Not sure that's how it works, mate. Hey guys, I'm Aussie Villain, and welcome back to Kicking Haas. It is, well, the French Grand Prix today, and it is going to be hopefully a better race than we had last time out in Austria, which, well, thanks to a bug in the game, amongst other things, where we couldn't unlap ourselves, it was a little bit of a disaster, wasn't it? But it's a new race, and let's see what we can do here. Now, a few things to catch you up on regarding the sporting regulations, potentially a change. So the change was to do with the point scoring. It was to give a point for pole position, which I could get on board with, but I'm not necessarily, I'm sort of neutral to that. But what I am 100% against was double points for the last race. So I voted against it. Everything else was to stay the same. So I voted against it. And thankfully, if we go up here and see how things played out, I wasn't the only one. It was only Red Bull and Williams and Aston Martin that voted for the change. So the points will stay as they are, which, like I say, is, I think, good. Double points. They tried it once, didn't they? And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Not for me, anyway. Because one race shouldn't be worth more than another. You know. Anyway, if you want to have double points for the last weekend, race twice. That's my point. That's what I think, anyway. Now, drivers, we do have an attribute point to give to Logan Sargeant. Now, cornering, smoothness, adaptability. I mean, there's a lot of weaknesses here, isn't there? Let's go with cornering. It'll improve lap time and reduce the chance of him running wide or spinning when they do go around a corner. I'm assuming that's what it means. So we'll do that. Smoothness, adaptability, overtaking and defending. And there's a lot of things that need to be improved here, but he'll get there. He'll get there in the end, I'm sure. But there we go. So that is that. K-Mag doesn't have anything attribute point-wise, and neither does Correa. Now, if we check the staff, has any staff earned themselves? Yes, we've got a development point for our race engineer here. Well, so let's go pit crew management and see if he can go from there a little bit. And the other thing to catch you up on is facilities-wise. We have got, if we go to staff facilities, racing simulator, we now have a, is it 5-star, yeah, level 5 racing simulator. So that is going to help. That helps the weekly experience gain, as you can see there, for the drivers. So that is excellent news. Now we have 17 million in the bank, which makes me think, do we look and to go and improve elsewhere? Now the team hub is basically the racing sim for your staff. So it helps team morale, but it does help weekly experience gain. There's a lot. The one thing that Haas really doesn't have is facilities. Now, the CFD simulator is going to help improve the car. It's 10 million. It takes 48 days. I'm wondering if this is kind of the suspension simulator is a little bit something similar. Then we've got the car part test center. I think this is where we maybe need to look at improving. So the CFD simulator seems to be the obvious one, the sort of the next biggest one to do. So I think we go and do that. It'll take 48 days. At that point, we'll have level 2, and we should be starting to shift our focus towards next year's car. And hopefully, then you can see that it more or less doubles what we can, what we can do. So I don't understand what all these numbers are because I am not an engineer, but it looks good. If you're doubling things, it should be twice as good. So when we go on and start to design next year's car, do the research to design that. So that is all of that done. Now, did I just see there that we had, do we have anything, if we were to go and do a new project, we are currently out of design slots. So we've got underfloor and side pods that'll be coming for next, well, be designed for next race. Maybe not quite ready to go for next race. So let's go and see what we're doing here for France. The Paul Ricard circuit, it's not a pretty one to look at, but it is a decent track. It's fun to drive. I know when I've raced it on the Formula 1 sort of driving game, it's a fun one to drive, but it just doesn't look like much. So we can see everything there. Time considerations, 27 seconds, 25 seconds for a pit stop. Expected strategies, it's looking as though it's going to be a one-stop, so we don't have to worry too much about saving tires in free practice. We can see previous, so that's last year's race result in real life. Historic winners, Hamilton, Verstappen, and yeah, powertrain usage if you're interested. We're not doing too badly, are we? I mean, we've taken penalties, but we've got a lot of fresh engine parts, so it's not quite as bad as that looks there. So, qualifying target. Now, I think our car will go okay here. We should be reaching Q2. I'm tempted to say K-Mag could reach Q3, but I don't want to lose money just now. A finishing position of 12th or better, I'd like to think we can do that. And we've got a finishing streak. If we get into the top 14 here, we get $500,000. If we don't, we lose 136 grand. And we need one car in the top of 14 of qualifying for this race and the next race as well, and then we'll get a little bit more cash. So that is all of that. Let's go and see what the weather's going to be like, although we can see it there. It's going to be fine all weekend. And there is the confirmation. Clear skies on the Friday, cloudy Saturday and Sunday. So I'll go and do this free practice, and then I will see you ready to go for qualifying. Alright, so we have finished our free practice. I don't know if we have a look at results here. You can see FP1, we had Sargeant ahead of K-Mag on the hard tyres we were on. FP2, we were looking a little bit better there, just outside the top 10, although you can see very small difference in time. And then same thing in FP3, 11th and 12th, and very small difference in time between K-Mag and Logan Sargeant. Now, K-Mag has been throwing the car off the road. I think he's spun 3 times, run wide twice. He is all over the shop, but both cars have 100% setup confidence, so that's obviously very, very nice indeed. So let's get out there for Q1 and see what we can do. Alright, and here we go with our Haas's coming out onto the Paul Ricard circuit. Go on, boys. Alright, so we're coming around to start our lap. Now, it is Sargeant in 11th. K-Mag is the man in a little bit of risk here. He is sitting there in P13, so I think we have to ride along with K-Mag. Now, he is the last car on track. We've got Sargeant in front of us. We did manage to get around to do our lap in Q1 this time. Of course, if you were with us in Austria, we didn't manage to do that. But we've done it this time. Let's have a look at sectors. Let's see if anybody is doing green. So Vettel is looking a threat. Ricciardo as well. We're coming up for first sector time. Sargeant is slower. And let's see, Magnussen has gone faster. Now, on the first lap, neither of them had traffic. We had beautiful track conditions. There was no one anywhere near us. They were behind each other, obviously, about this distance, just so they can try and get a bit of a draft up the straights. But yeah, for whatever reason, K-Mag just didn't get it done. But he's looked, as I said, he's looked a little bit off so far the entire weekend. Sargeant's done, and they've both done middle sectors in the green. So let's see what we can do to finish things off here. Now, Vettel has not got out, and Tsunoda and Ricciardo are still behind us as well. So this is looking very good. Norris, you suspect, might jump ahead. Albon has not, so we're both through, because there's not enough cars in the drop zone right now that can overtake us. Norris has finished his lap. He appears to be out of qualifying as well. So both cars are through. Let's see if we can jump up the order a little bit. Sargeant across the line momentarily. What has he done? He has stayed 11th. Magnussen has stayed 13th, but we're through. Alright, so we are coming around again. Both our guys, it's Q2, of course, our second runs. We've both done a lap on used tyres, so this is on fresh tyres. It's not looking great. We're 11th and 12th. Sargeant again ahead of K-Mag. Now, K-Mag's engine is showing a little bit of wear here, 44%, gearbox as well a little bit. So I don't know if it's that is sort of holding K-Mag back a little bit. There is obviously the mammoth long Minstrel Straight at the back here. So yeah, maybe this would have been a decent one to put a fresh engine in for, but it looks as though we're going to have to take engine penalties at some point. Well, probably with both cars, to be honest. But both cars have done green sectors. Let's have a look here. Everybody is green, with the exception of Bottas in Sector 1. Now, Sargeant is catching this car in front, which you fear might be Bottas going a little slow. Everybody continues to do green sectors. Sargeant goes green in the middle sector as well. So it's going to have to be... So it's not... Bottas has finished his lap, and it's not particularly gone quick. So who is this? It must be this Guan Yu Zhou, maybe? It looks like an Alfa Romeo, doesn't it? But Sargeant doing a good job. And let's see if he can manage to kick himself up into Q3. And I believe it would be a first for him to get out of Q2, wouldn't it? I don't remember him getting out of... Oh, was there a wet race that he got out? Maybe there was a wet race he got out. It really annoys me. Obviously, we've got the cars fueled just to do qualifying, but we don't want to come in on the end of a qualifying lap. So there we go. Sargeant crosses the line and goes 11th. What can K-Mag do now? He comes out of the final corner, so Sargeant is out. Can K-Mag get himself into Q3? Here comes the line, and no, he can't. Sargeant now qualifies K-Mag. So both cars eliminated in Q2, 11th for Sargeant, 13th for K-Mag. It makes me wonder if we take an engine penalty or switch the engine out here for K-Mag. Now, I think I don't know, do we take a penalty if we do that? We do have an engine that is already in the system, so we should be able to install that for the race. I think, can you actually change it in real life and not get a penalty? I think you have to qualify because it's Parc Ferme, isn't it? Yeah, I think what we'll do is we will change the engine. Technically, I don't think we should be able to do it. We would get a penalty for it. But my logic here is that we know that K-Mag typically is about 3 or 4 tenths a lap faster than Sargeant. So, I mean, it's a one-stop race, isn't it? It's a bit of a boring one-stop race as well. So I think what we do is, if we put the fresh engine in for K-Mag, he should be very, very competitive, just based purely on the fact that we can see that Sargeant is very, very competitive. So, could we get double points? We've got our strategy set. Let's see what we can do. Alright, so confirmation we did not get a penalty for K-Mag despite changing the engine in Parc Ferme conditions, but it was in the pool. I'm not actually sure what the rule is on that, if we technically can change it or not, but Sargeant's the front car, so we'll stay on board with him, and we'll just see how K-Mag's engine goes if he is able to push on a little bit here. Sargeant into the points. Gasly's got the inside there. We can see the tyres that everybody is on. It's roughly an even split between mediums and hards, isn't it? I think the advantage of doing the hards second is that at the end of the race, yeah, I mean, it's touch and go, isn't it? But at the end of the race, if we sort of find ourselves stuck and not able to get past anybody, we might be able to go put a set of soft tyres on and really go to the end. But Sargeant into 10th. Good job. K-Mag in 12th, so they've both made up a place. And let's see if we can get a lunge going here on Alonso. And no, not really. And we've still got Gasly fighting on our inside there. Now we've got a good run out of that corner. Now let's see if we can... The inside here. This corner is typically flat, isn't it? We do, of course, have our ERS burning away because that's what I always like to do at first couple of laps. Just try and stay up as far up the field as we can until DRS is there, and then hopefully tag ourselves onto the back of a DRS train. That's usually my plan anyway. Doesn't always work, and often we find that we'll be on the back of a DRS train and then we'll get dropped when they sort of all up the pace. We've got a yellow flag out as somebody's locked up. It is who's going down the order there? Perez is locked up. So we are currently 9th and 11th now. And Sargeant getting a run on the Alpine of Alonso here. Could Sargeant be about Mitch? Who's Mitch Sargeant? He might have been an old rugby player. Anyway, he's about to get a nosebleed here as Logan if he gets past Alonso. Magnussen has got past Gasly, so we're coming 9th and 10th just now. And we are about to get some DRS going here. We know what everybody's tyres are on, so we're going back to intervals now. And it looks as though it's Hamilton, is it, that is the cork in the bottle just now. What we will do is we'll just back off the tyres a little bit just to... Tyre life is pretty good, to be honest. But I'd rather have tyre in the bank kind of thing to be able to push on later on. As we go look down the outside of Alonso, give us the inside for the second part of the chicane, and if we can get a good run out of here, have we done it? I think he has, you know. Sargeant passes Alonso and sets his eyes on Esteban Ocon now, and ahead of him it's Bottas as well. Now Bottas looks as though he's losing the back of the cars in front. Magnussen has followed Sargeant through. And, well, here come the Haases, the march of the Haas. We'll go back to neutral because DRS is going to be available at the end of this lap as well. And our DRS train is looking... No, Alonso's got Magnussen back. But yes, looking as though this is going to be our DRS train. Bottas is not going to get it. There's a bit of a train in front of that. Hamilton, it looks like, is holding up a bit of a queue as well.
Nice work, Kev.
And Magnussen back past Alonso. He's having a real little ding-dong there, isn't he, with Fernando Alonso. But I think what we'll do is we'll go back out to the external view. If we see an overtake, we can obviously go back in. We can see there are two white dots. Those are the Haas's. Nose to Haas, you could say. Hero week, guys, hero week. But Bottas is definitely holding up a train, isn't he? And yeah, well, look, it's a little bit a case of Ocon has got past. And what's going to happen now is it looks as though Ocon is going to drag Bottas along with him and make it difficult for us to get past as well. But of course, just being a one-stop race, Magnussen and Sargeant are battling. I mean, ideally, we probably do want Magnussen in front of Sargeant, don't we? Because, oh, Magnussen with a triple overtake. Where's the highlights of that? Kevin Magnussen, what has he done? He's passed half the field. So this must be K-Mag at the back here, is it? And he's just lunged up the inside of Ocon and Bottas, and he's taken them all at once. Wonderful stuff by K-Mag. He is an overtaking god at times, isn't he? Well done to K-Mag. So that's P6 for him. Now, of course, he's now at the front of this train and is almost certainly going to get done up the back straight here. As there's a yellow flag in Sector 1 there. Bottas does indeed get him back. But we just need to stay where we are now. I mean, 6th, 7th, this is a good place for us to be. What sort of tyres is everybody on that we're battling with here? So there's a couple of hards as well. So we should be faster than them. The maybe issue is that we're going to, if we're dragging a hard-tyred car along, as Magnussen now drops back behind Ocon, and he's actually now back up to 6. So it's going to be DRS back and forth, isn't it? There's a part of me that thinks, do we have a real go at trying to break the DRS? But it'll happen. I think it'll happen naturally if it's going to happen. What I don't want to do is burn through the tyres. Because if we look ahead, I mean, K-Mag is definitely faster, isn't he? It's a long way till we get to the Mercedes and the Ferraris and then the Red Bull of Verstappen. Of course, Perez is a fair way down. What I don't want to do, yeah, is sort of burn through everything, when realistically we're probably racing for 6th here anyway, unless something weird happens, in which case there'll probably be a safety car. We can sort of adjust strategy from there. But 12 seconds is going to be a big ask to make up on cars that are better than ours anyway. So lap 15. Sargeant's still hanging in there in 8th. He's doing a cracking job, isn't he? If he can just stay there, he's on track for his first career points here. Magnussen and Bottas continue to battle. I mean, we've lost 13 and a half, 14 seconds in 16 laps here. So we're not on the pace of the front 5. And Perez has worked his way through, and I suspect we'll be up with to the back of this group momentarily as well. So Ocon going back and forth with Sargeant. I mean, we just need Sargeant to keep it on the track, don't we? And if he does that, he's every chance of his first points. Chances are he will drop out a little bit. You can see his tyre wear is a little. We've entered our pit window as well. You can see his tyre wear 53 to 57. He's just not as good as K-Mag on that front. But what we might do, given that we're coming into our pit window, let's go aggressive on the tyres and see if we can
push even more.
There's no point pitting with tyres with some life in there. There's still quite a bit of life left in those tyres. You do wonder, if you really conserved, could you do soft at the end? Oh, and Sargeant is locked up. Logan. That's the risk of pushing, isn't it? Maybe we shouldn't be doing that with Sargeant. Well, it's a bit late now. Have we got a replay? Here we go. So here is his lockup.
Now just focus on the Haas.
He has, yeah, just grabbed the front brake there, hasn't he? Oh, that's a very minor lockup. Very harsh indeed to be pinning him that on him. That's not that bad. All right, keep pushing on, Logan. Didn't lose a position. I don't even think he left the track, did he?
We're happy with you pushing.
Yeah, we're very happy with you pushing, Logan. Go on, mate. All right, so you can see even with pushing on the tyres, Magnussen is not really able to break clear. We've got some medium-tired runners making stops. I'm going to stay out there with K-Mag. I think this lap, though, we will stop with Sargeant.
So we'll box now. Box.
Yeah. We've got a Ferrari coming out in front of us now. If we can get K-Mag to get onto the back of that Ferrari and stay in its DRS, that would be huge because it could tow us around. And it's obviously a much, much quicker car. I think we are going to get DRS this lap, you know. A lot of other cars coming into the pit. I'm always worried about getting undercut, but... did we... Oh, we didn't get DRS. Let's try and push on. And yeah, we ended up getting overtaken there by Bottas. But that's... I mean, it's not the end of the world, obviously. We're coming up on half race distance. And of course, the longer we go on these mediums, the more we can then push the hards as well. As I say, the issue is just the risk of the undercut, but we'll take that risk to have the softer tire, the fresher tires, sorry, at the end, and being able to push on a little bit more. So let's go and see this pit stop. Hopefully, it's one of our better ones. You can see on the mini map there, we ideally want to get out in front of this Sonoda train. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. We are right at the end of the pit lane, so this is sort of the long trundle down is the longest part for us. They're coming... Oh, so slow. 3.3 minutes, marginally better. Go, K-Mag. Come on, we've got to get out in front of this Sonoda train. We've got to get out in front of this Sonoda train. Oh, they're going past us. There it is. Oh, we're going to come out right at the back of it. And, well, that's not really worked for us. Sargeant's overtaken Sonoda. So there's Ocon in the pits now. Magnussen gets him. Sargeant gets him as well. So 7th and 8th. Bottas still to pit, but we're 18 seconds behind him. Here's Bottas in the pits now. Magnussen, he's going to get him comfortably. Sargeant gets him as well. Bottas comes out behind him. Now, what tyres? They're on mediums. So they're going to have a tyre advantage. And they are all over the back of Sargeant already. And Bottas, in fact, has got him. Now, Sargeant, so has Ocon. If Sargeant can just stay in their DRS, we've got a driver running wide. Is it Sargeant? Yeah, and he's lost the DRS now. Still in 9th, though, crucially. Still looking good for his first points. What he has to worry about, I think, Alonso and more so Perez coming from behind are going to be his big threat. And then K-Mag in 6th has 5 seconds over Ocon and Bottas. But they, of course, have the fresher tyres. We go and have a look at last lap times. So Ocon is in a 36. So Ocon is almost a second a lap quicker. Bottas is doing a similar sort of lap time, though. Are we still okay on the tyres there? We're going to need to just back that off a little bit. And Sargeant is looking okay. So it's just where we've just got to watch this gap. Sargeant's in sort of no man's land now. Well, technically both our guys are in a little bit of no man's land, but Magnussen needs to just stay clear. Norris is pitting. The McLarens are slow, aren't they? Ocon is catching us quite quickly, and he's pulling Bottas along with him. Perez looks as though he's at the front of that group now, so he's going to look to close down on Sargeant. If Sargeant can take a point, though, that is absolutely huge. How are we looking at tyre life? Gearbox wear for Magnussen. That's not the end of the world. Norris has had a spin. And but thankfully Perez is not really pulling along those guys too badly. But Sargeant he's going to lose out to Perez, which is absolutely fine. Perez is in a Red Bull, you'd expect it. If he can go with him as much as possible just to stay away from the cars behind, and Magnussen has spun again.
Let's see what happened there. All eyes on...
Oh, K-Mag, he cannot stop spinning at this track. He's clipped the inside curb, unloaded the car, and he's done a 360. And where does that bring him out? 8th. So he's lost out to Ocon and Bottas now. It's going to leave him big risk to Perez. And suddenly what was looking like a 6th and maybe a 10th is well, looking like a 9th and 10th. Sargeant's my man of the match today. He's so much better than what K-Mag has done. He is sticking with Perez. And if Sargeant can catch the back of Magnussen, I'm tempted just to tell Magnussen to let him pass, because he's the quicker car. He's been the quicker car most of the weekend. And he's just having a wonderful race. We've got a little bit of extra petrol with him as well. I don't want to go too early on that. And he's just sticking to the back of Perez like a bad smell, isn't he? Wonderful stuff. What do we got here to go? We've got about 10 laps to go. And... well, we've caught the back of Magnussen now. And I think it's... Sargeant can push. Sargeant's ahead of Magnussen.
Red Bull moved up.
So Perez has taken Magnussen, and Sargeant's followed him through. And the way things are going, you would not put it past Sargeant to get past Perez at the end here. He's having a look at him. I mean, both of them are sort of getting towed along a little bit. I wonder... oh, Sargeant has got past Perez. Wonderful. DRS, I'm sure, assisted at the end of the first front straight there. Perez has got him straight back. But that's absolutely fine. Alright, we just need to be a little bit careful with his petrol. And I think... well, let's jump on board, shall we? Enjoy the last few laps here. 5 laps to go.
5 laps.
And we have a look at him. It's round the outside. Sargeant hanging one out on the Red Bull. This is magnificent. And just can't quite get it done. Just a little bit concerned about his tyre life there.
Okay, back off.
And
Okay.
Perez is... has he forced him into a mistake there? Not quite. Overtake failed, but it was a decent attempt. We'll get DRS again. We go maybe ×2. And yeah, enjoy the last few laps here. Just trying to see... is Magnussen is right there. I wonder if we try and harvest with K-Mag. I think what we want to try and get this Red Bull, don't we? With one of the cars. So if we can harvest with Magnussen while he's sitting behind, getting the DRS down the straights, and have we just lost the back of Perez? Oh, maybe ever so slightly, but the DRS has brought us back into play. The fact that Sargeant is able to go with the Red Bull and has gone with the Red Bull for so many laps now. You know, he's stayed with him as he's caught and passed K-Mag, and he's literally, you know, legitimately battling Sergio Perez for 8th place in the Grand Prix, which is huge. So I think what we'll do, we're about to come around and start lap 51. As long as K-Mag is there, Sargeant is right on the edge of losing DRS at the end of the lap, isn't he? But he's just about staying there. So I think what we'll do, I'm thinking last lap, we might, or even the last 2 laps. We'll see how much ERS K-Mag can sort of harvest up. And we might look to unleash him on Perez. I feel terrible asking Sargeant to move aside. Maybe we don't. Maybe what we do is just assume that K-Mag is going to go past him with the deployment on. And yeah, I mean, I can't ask Sargeant to pull aside. But we're 9th and 10th. It's looking as though we are going to score double points. Alonso is 8.5 seconds back. Oh, he's right there. All right. It's the team thing, isn't it? It's the team thing. Oh, we're going to go here. Don't fight your teammate. And we've got to push him on. Sargeant. Oh, okay. You idiot. You absolute idiot. He's been well and truly off the pace this weekend. And unfortunately what that has done, trying to give K-Mag a chance to overtake him, and now we've just lost the back of him. And that's what we get for trying to be sneaky. I wonder if K-Mag can have a go at fastest lap on the last lap. We'll try that.
Come on, let's close the gap to the cars ahead.
Copy that.
Just stay on the track, K-Mag, honestly.
Starting last lap.
We just got to make sure that he's going to have enough petrol to get there. He should have enough deployment, I think, to get round the lap on deploy. Just. You can usually do 2 and a bit laps, so he would have been going for 2 laps. We just don't want to have another run out of petrol incident on the final lap. So he should get DRS. He does. That's going to drag him up to the back. He's had to lift there. He needs to get the overtake done if he's going to get fastest lap. Are we even close? He's done the yellow first sector. It's not even close.
And Sainz crosses the line first. He's taken the win.
So he's not going to get fastest lap, is he? You know what? Don't fight your teammate. Let him back past K-Mag. You've embarrassed yourself here.
Charge on.
Copy that.
Don't fight your teammate, K-Mag. Can you let him back past, please? K-Mag? There he goes. I mean, it's only fair, you know, because, you know, we had a chance to... We were trying to move him aside so that Sarge, he could go and attack Perez. He stuffed it up. And so it's going to be Logan Sargeant, his first career points, and he's going to come in 9th, ahead of K-Mag. And you know what? Bravo, mate. You absolutely deserve that. You've been magnificent all weekend. Well done.
Flag.
So there we go. We can see how the race finished. It was Sainz winning from Ferrari 1-2 ahead of Leclerc. Then you can see there Verstappen, the Mercedes, Ocon, Bottas. I mean, that's really where we should have been seeing K-Mag, isn't it? But not to be. And then Perez, obviously. And both cars moved up, so that's fine. It was a good race, 3 points. And we can see there, K-Mag stays 9th. And Logan Sargeant, off the mark, finds himself 15th in the championship. And as far as the team goes, we're in 6th. And we pull out a little bit on AlphaTauri because they closed up in Austria, didn't they? So it's good to reopen that gap. But that will do it for today. If you have enjoyed that, make sure you hit thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Another development point for Sargeant to add next episode. I thought Hungary was this race. Maybe the next race is Hungary. I'm not sure. We're coming up towards the summer break, though, so it must be Hungary, isn't it? Anyway, I'll see you next time. Take care.